have an Hey everyone, welcome to our channel, Book Screws and Furs. It's me and it's Elaine, and we are joining here for an interview with Vampire Inspired Buddy Read, where I'm snipping out to the shelves of our beloved characters. Right now we're snipping out to Daniel Malloy's shelf, and it's 6 books on Daniel Malloy's bookshelf, and we're fulfilling the prompt. Daniel's memory has been compromised, so read a book about fractured memory, and we have chosen to read The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. This was originally published in 94, and our translated edition was in 2019. The author has also written Revenge, Hotel Iris, The Housekeeper and the Professor, and The Diving Pool. All right, so just to tell you a little bit about the book, this is about an unnamed island off of an unnamed coast. Objects are disappearing. First hats, then ribbons, birds, roses, until things become much more serious. Most of the island's inhabitants are oblivious to these changes, while those few imbued with the power to recall the lost objects live in fear of the draconian memory police, who are committed to ensuring that what has disappeared remains forgotten. When a young woman who is struggling to maintain her career as a novelist discovers that her editor is in danger from the memory police, she concocts a plan to hide him beneath her floorboards. As fear and loss close in around them, they cling to her writing as the last way to preserve the past. Elaine, thank you for being here with me.
My pleasure. I'm looking forward to this.
Yes, I mean, it was a journey.
It was.
And I'm definitely glad that we had a break between finishing the book and having the live, because I just needed more time I didn't know what to think. We both already didn't know what to think when we first picked it up. I needed the time to digest whatever this was.
Going in, because reading the back and the part you just read, I was thinking The Givers by Lois Lowry, 1984 by George Orwell, because those both also have to do with policing and memories and things being changed and altered, right? Not so much in The Giver. It's a different type of memory loss or barrier, and I'm not going to give spoilers for those. But so when I started reading this, I'm like, nope, it's quite a bit different. And as I continued, it was a bit confusing. But also, I hadn't at first realized it was a translated work. And as someone whose first language is not English, I'm always leery about that type of content. Not anything against people who do the translations. I mean, all of Paulo Coelho's work is translated from, I think he's Portuguese. I could be wrong, but either way, I know all of his work is translated. So the challenge when it comes to translations is rarely does that happen word for word. It's more by context. And I'm thinking back to growing up when I was asked to translate things from my grandmother, who spoke some English. But when I translated, it wasn't word for word. It was just, well, here's the thing. And people are like, well, you were just talking for 5 minutes. And I'm like, yeah. And here's the gist of it. So to do that in a book would be extra challenging, right? Because you want to get what that author's talking about, but to do it word for word wouldn't necessarily make sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. What were your, that reminds me of, there's an author, Han Kang, who wrote The Vegetarian, which I had such a difficult time. I still have the copy because I want to go back and read it. But
Yeah.
I had to watch other people talk about it because I just felt like I wasn't getting the point.
Mm,
They're a South Korean author, but then I read their book Human Acts, which came out, actually it says 2014, so it's been a while. But I love that book. And so I haven't checked, but I kind of wonder, was it two different translators for this book? And maybe that may have been an issue because I do want to read more translated literature, but I always feel like um I wonder, I guess the thought looms over, what am I missing in translation?
well, and I think you make the excellent point too of, is it the translator?
Mhm.
Because I know with Koho's work, it's not all the same translator.
Mhm.
And so again, they're coming through with the points, the main gist of the story, and writing it similar. Um, but yeah, I think it depends on who does the translation and how well they switch that to whatever language they're translating, right? Because English works are translated to other languages. So you get that whole concept of culturally what would be acceptable, how do you explain it? I mean, all of that becomes a big factor. And I guess the example that comes to mind, because I read a lot of ancient civilization, alien
Mhm.
UFO kind of stuff, right? And so this alien astronaut theory, these people are looking at these old images, whether it's from Samaria or other countries, wherever, and they're going, oh, that looks like a plane. And I'm thinking, because you know what a plane looks like. But if you showed that image to, say, someone in one of the tribes in the Amazon or somewhere else that has had no contact with, planes and whatnot, what would they tell you that image is?
Mm.
Now, thankfully, and I can't remember, I just came across it in one of my other books. Thankfully, they're no longer able to make contact with those tribes. I
Yeah.
mean, they used to, and of course, disease and all kinds of bad things happened, but now they're no longer able to do that. And I think that's good. But to me, that's the only way you're going to find out what those images are, because those people wouldn't be seeing the same thing you are,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So, yeah, it's I don't know. It's a complex thing for sure when it
Yeah.
comes to translations and understanding.
Yeah. I'm gonna say hello to the chat really quick.
Yep.
Hi, Margaret. I don't know. I'll look at the questions that I have. It kind of feels like not that kind of book, because if not, I basically just be having them the banner on the whole time. But we'll see. We'll see, Margaret. Hey, then. I was glad to see you on Elaine's channel the other day.
My
It's really
surprise guest. Okay, I'm gonna have to close this for a minute because it's not letting me connect.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna just hide my camera and see if it's gonna let me join the chat.
go ahead. It's getting me away.
All right. Yeah, you can. There we go. Woo! Technology.
Hi, critical thinker. Thank you for being here. Always happy to see you. Yeah, sometimes I'll open another window as if I'm watching my own channel, and then the
Yeah.
chat's a little bit better sometimes on that, unfortunately.
No, it's good. I got myself, it's just like, wait a minute, shouldn't be typing in my password with the camera up. Like, I worry about weirdo things. It's like I said to Ven the other day, when I'm on a live stream, this is the only window I have open because I can't do it. I can multitask, just not with technology sometimes.
I hear you. It's a lot. There's so much to learn. Margaret, sorry to see
Mm.
October go. It was a pretty month. Yeah. I'm sure for you, I'm in California. Weather is wonky here all the time, and I keep fantasizing about the kind of experience are gonna happen, and it doesn't. I may get a little bit, a sprinkle of rain, and I'm like over here like a desert, so excited to get it, and then it goes away. So,
Well, here our trees are still green and it's freaking me out because it's the 1st of
mm,
November. Like fall trees are supposed to be changing. I have some, like my one big shrub in the front is red. It's a burning bush euonymus. I've got some of my others that are beautiful colors. And then there's a bunch that are still green. And I'm like,
mm,
I was saying to my husband the other day, it's almost like the calendar has moved a month late. Like
yeah,
even with the summer and when the rains came and everything, it is just not a normal year at all.
yeah.
At all.
That's the understatement.
Well, yeah.
Then people are going to get my love, my love reaction to Court Book
Oh,
2
in a
and
few
beyond.
hours. You're actually done? You were just reading it this morning and on page 13.
Page 13. It's cold, wet,
Yeah.
and gray, but we have bonfires next few days for Guy Fawkes Night to brighten stuff up. Oh, fun. I'll be looking out for this, Ven, because I'm not reading it.
Well, see, I keep saying to him, it's his fault I started ACOTAR in the first place. It wasn't even on my radar, even though I was doing the 24 in 2024 banned book project that MJ started. And a lot of them were reading ACOTAR because the series had been banned in Utah, like the whole state of Utah. And I'm like, nope, romantasy, not happening. And then
Yeah.
I tortured myself with Fourth Wing, and I'm like, oh, for the love of Pete. And then I ended up, Ven and I were chit chatting. Then I ended up reading ACOTAR. Then Noah called me Nesta in one of his live streams. And I'm like, well, crap. Now I got to find out who this is. And then it turns out the little bugger had only read book one at that point. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I've now read all five while those two stinkers, Ven's just on book two now, almost a year later, and Noah, I think, is up to the novella, so 4.5. I'm like, you buggers are going to be in this group read and you're going to read all of them.
Yeah, if they're going to reference it, they got to know it.
Exactly. I told you not to read it. Yeah, you keep saying that, but that's like a dare. I dare you not to read this. So I read it. And to be honest, if I'd finished at book one, I would not dislike some of these characters as much as I do, because
Mm.
there's like big, big growth, which, switching back to our topic here,
Somehow.
with with Lestat, it was
Mm.
interesting watching Stuart's video. I think it was his weekly wrap. I can't remember. It was either a
Yeah.
weekly wrap up or a talk about a book. But he actually read The Vampire Lestat before he
Oh,
read
yeah.
Interview,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right.
right? And
Mhm.
that really changed his perspective of those two characters.
Mm.
Now, for me, it's two of the books I actually read in order with the series because because I'm ancient. So I read Interview when it came out
Yeah.
and then Lestat afterwards. So I'm still Team Louis no matter what.
Me
Um,
too. Me
see,
too.
I mean, I get and Cat, fair. He is a whiner. But there were a lot of things that happened to him that Lestat was just pulling his little strings. And then we find out in Lestat's version the different things and why Lestat was behaving that way. But it still
Like
doesn't
it still
justify.
happened. It still happened. Do you mean
Yeah,
like I understand the why and like we empathize, but that does not negate that does not change Louis's experience of being on the other end of that and
exactly.
not having the answers, but now let's tell everyone else, but he's not telling Louis directly.
And that's it, right? Lestat knew there were all these other vampires, Marius,
Mhm.
Armand, the whole bit, the vampire theater.
Yeah.
So to me, that part with those two characters, well, even with Daniel, is about communication. If Lestat had just been up front instead of trying to be a manipulative little douche, that whole situation would have been different. And the
Yeah.
one thing I will say, even though, I've only watched 4 episodes, I do like Claudia as a teenager much better than a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean, it sways the story, and the ending might have been a bit different in terms of Armin's choices, what have you. But yeah, I'm Team Louis all the way. And I've read, well, actually, there's a few that are going to be first time reads. Memnock was the
Same.
first time.
Mm.
And when I get to Blood and Gold, Blood Canonical, and there's a couple of the others, because see, I've read Interview, because I wanted to get back to reading Rice earlier. I think it was last year I read Interview again. And then there were a bunch at the library. So I ended up reading Prince Lestat, the end of the series.
Okay. I haven't read that one yet. There's a bunch of that at the end I haven't read yet.
Prince Lestat, and you've got it. I love your intro, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Um, but Prince Lestat really could be a lot of them could be standalone as far as
Mm.
that goes. Like you're just, Lestat's doing his thing and then another vampire is usually introduced. But Prince Lestat, you really could just read that and know the whole series because
Mm.
she did do a good job of, I mean, again, it's mostly from Lestat's point of view, but as all the vampires come into it, you also get their backstories.
Yeah.
So you get to know like either how they became vampires or what's happened with them and who they're connected to. So without reading the entire series, you could just read Prince Lestat and know about all the vampires except for Quinn from Blackwood Farms, which really irritated me because I'm like, okay, you brought everybody else back. What's your issue with Quinn? But there might be a few books in between that Quinn comes up that I'm not aware of. So that may
Mm.
end up being answered.
Yeah. Yeah. So far, all the books that we've read so far, are like rereads for me. But I think I just read them so young. A lot of it went over my head.
Mm,
So I mean, I cannot believe how engrossed I was with the characters, but I can because I clearly am still. But then I read Tell the Body Thief, and I was like, what happens in there? I thought, Lestat, you're a next level monster. Why was I so into this when I was younger? Was I? I was not fully developed in my brain.
well, but and again, this comes to any of the books, right? Is reading them as a teenager or even early 20s, which a number of books I did, whether it was Stephen King, because I started with him when Carrie came out, and reading Carrie and The Shining and all of those. And I've reread a lot of those books now, and it's very different reading them either in my late 50s, early 60s compared to my late teens, early 20s. And a big part of it is, the life experience as well as the reading and the world. It's why I wanted to read 1984 again in 2024. I'd read it originally in 1983, and it scared the hooey out of me. And we didn't have computers or CCTV and all that stuff back then. So it was just a kind of, oh, this is creepy. Reading it in 2024 with CCTV and, all this other stuff we have, and people put all this stuff in their homes. They didn't need the government to come do it for them. They're like, oh, house monitoring? Yay. Yeah, put it in there. Alexa, yeah, get me 2 of them, 1 for each floor. And it's like, whoa, creepy. And then, of course, Gulf of America. It's like, dude, I know you didn't go to class and pay attention, but pull your head out of your ass. Like, look at any atlas. I don't know where you and the got knocked up at 26 mouthpiece at the podium went to school, but Jesus, you got money. They should have educated you, but I guess not.
Let me get you on the chat again. All right, Margaret, just finished Sovereign about the Moldwarp. I'm saying this wrong. Moldwarp plot in New York. Very nice. I'll look for that for your wrap up. Ven said this. I don't know if he's referring to the book. I wonder if we are celebrating the fact that he was caught, or the fact that he tried to
blow up the government. Yeah, it is an interesting holiday for sure.
Ven's Corner. It will get launched in the bonfire tomorrow night if it continues to irritate.
Better not.
Margaret, I think the best revenge would be not talking about the hyped books.
It's a good point, actually, kind of.
Yeah. Next 3 reviews are back to indies, so back in balance. yeah. Back to
well, some of those books you read, dude, are like, wow.
Hello.
Hey, Noah.
Thank you for popping in, Noah. Hey, Noah. How do we do? I've not been hit by football, so I'm good.
He still has the kiddos. Oh, no, Noah got kicked with a football.
All right, Elaine, what are your, before I put the spoiler banner up, what are your non-spoiler thoughts about The Memory Police?
The Memory Police? It was an interesting read and thought-provoking. There were some things that really confused me. And once you put the banner up, I'll ask specifically, because I'm hoping it made sense to you, but I agree. It was a good thing of finishing the book and then having time to process, because they're really, to me, it was a deep read. Like I read it relatively quickly, but there's a lot of deep concepts to it. Some of the things you could see coming clearly with her editor, but there were some things that just didn't make sense, like how all this started in the first place and how the community responds when something's meant to be disappeared. What's controlling them to willingly eliminate those things? Because nobody's coming and telling them or going through their houses. They just
I have an idea about that, but I'll
Yeah.
talk about it later.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. If you can clarify that, or because there were things I just couldn't wrap my head around with this community. Like there's something different going on in this world that didn't quite get explained, or I missed it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wish I had the time to read the book twice, because I think if
Mm,
I just had that time, I would be able to notice certain things about that the author was trying to do potentially. But I can't tell if maybe I'm just giving her too much credit, because I definitely felt there was a it was so vague,
mm,
and I felt like maybe, although I don't really agree with this technique, maybe that was meant to be there because we're talking about memory being fractured and manipulated, and
mm.
that's why it's also vague, because that's the state that they're in. But since some people do remember, I kind of feel like, wouldn't you tell there's this we could get there are people to get answers from, and we're not getting them,
Yeah.
and for us the reader. And so I also think maybe how this all came about is meant to be vague, because wherever we are in the world as we read it, we'll be able to apply it to whatever has gone within our our nations,
Mm,
or be able to reflect on other parts of history of other nations and see the connections about, like, um how oppression, authoritarian societies come about in some ways, or connect, or just like make those connections.
yeah.
But I've read other books that at least give breadcrumbs. It's not trying to give us all the answers or anything, but just giving us a little more to chew on. And that's what I wanted from the book. And the author didn't really do that with this book.
Well, have you read 1984?
No, I haven't, but there's this other book called, I meant to grab it, but I was gonna bring it up later. Um, I Keep My Exoskeleton to Myself.
I saw you mention that in one of your videos recently. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just keep thinking about it. It's very simple. It's not like, I just like the approach. It's more insular and focused on the family, but the author does kind of give us like little ideas to think about
Mm,
as to how society is where it is in the book, because it is a similar thing of being controlled
yeah.
through shame and trying to police people in a way without saying it. Um, that I think really worked, and it lends to more of a conversation than
Well,
this book.
see, in 1984, we get a viewpoint from his job. I can't remember his name, but his job is to rewrite articles and things, to rewrite history so that no one can find the old information. It's that
Mhm.
it's always been this way, and you move forward. But you get a gist of how things got to that point, and the
Mhm.
policing, and where things are at, and people believing what they're told just without questioning. And I think that was part of what frustrated me with this book, is that answer isn't there. We
Mhm.
see
Mhm.
the result, but we're not quite sure how we got there, or
Mhm.
if it's in the book. I didn't catch it. And I mean, I wondered, is it because it's a translated work? Am I missing something culturally?
Mhm. Mhm.
Because that culture went through a lot of horrific things. And
Mhm.
so does that make it a different read? As someone living in Canada, there are certain things my family had experience with it because they immigrated here for a reason.
Mhm.
So that was my other question, is, am I missing something in the reading and not connecting the dots? Or is it something bigger that I'm just not going to catch because I don't have that life experience to connect it? Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. But that's the thing. It's like, again, we should have the context clues, and that they're not
Yeah.
really there. And it. Yeah, I have like mixed feelings about that. But I'm gonna catch up on the chat, and
Yep.
after I catch up on the chat, I am gonna be putting up the spoiler banner, and we'll kind of go from there.
Okay. On
It's
the
hashtag
Detective with
Adventure. Yeah, the by random kids.
Random Kids. Oh, it wasn't Ven Spawn.
Margaret, I don't know, friends. Just started seeing an aura on whole right side of vision. So
Uh-oh.
going to finish cooking my root vegetables in oven and then lay
Ooh.
down with eyes closed.
Oh, I hope you're going to be okay, hon.
Yeah, take it easy.
Yeah.
Get some deep sleep, rest. Poor thing. Yeah.
Yikes.
Ben's Corner. Oh no, I hope it
Mm.
doesn't develop. I too a migraine. Oh yeah. Understood.
Yeah, thankfully, I don't get those. I feel for people who go through that.
Yeah. Be right back until we spawn a car.
See? Spawn. That's his children. Spawn.
Oh no, Margaret. I hope it fades away. Yeah, me too. Take
Yeah.
it easy.
Oh.
Lots and lots of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
Oh, yay. Now I can say all the stuff.
yeah. All right. So I have some questions, but we'll kind of go back and forth because
Okay.
we have questions too. I'm just gonna the way I'm laying out questions is more like I'm gonna read a paragraph and then kind of discuss it from there
Okay.
or ask for your thoughts because I didn't know I was feeling the same way you are. So all right, so what am I reading? Page 11, paragraph 1. The author writes, the little brown creature flew in a wide circle and then vanished to the north. I couldn't recall the name of the species, and I found myself wishing I had paid better attention when I'd been with my father at the observatory. I tried to hold on to the way it looked in flight, or the sound of its chirping, or the colors of its feathers, but I knew it was useless. The bird, which should have been intertwined with memories of my father, was already unable to elicit any feeling in me at all. It was nothing more than a simple creature moving through space as a function of the vertical motion of its wings. What are your thoughts about the connection between birds or animals and emotion?
That's kind of a loaded question right now, Leslie. So I'm just going to pussyfoot around that.
Yeah.
And it's funny you picked that page to read because I have a sticky note on it.
Oh, perfect.
Because what stood out for me there is switching to new jobs and they don't complain. Like these people don't make sense to me. They
Hmm.
just, oh, my job's gone. Oh, okay, well, I'll go do something else. What? And
Hmm.
how do you do something else when you've trained for that? And what really disturbed me, and I'm doing okay here, so we're going to stick with it, is how they would, because the memories are gone, but sometimes what's supposed to disappear is still there. It's
Hmm.
talking about how it doesn't, because they don't have the memory, it doesn't elicit an emotion anymore. Like they see it and go, but they can't even think of what the word is to describe it. And
Hmm.
that's when I really started wondering, like, what is going on with these people? Because some of the objects are still there. Is the author trying to tell us that the importance of things is connected to our memory and our experience with it? And when that memory's wiped away, there's just the thing? I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that answers the question, but I can't
I'm
get more into it right now.
yeah, I'm open to all answers, all interpretations. I was gonna say hi, Bree.
Hey.
Winston Smith. All right, I'm gonna mark that perfect. Um, I don't know. You know what I was thinking, but again, I didn't think about it when I initially read it. It just over time.
Yep.
I wonder, and again, this is like a floating thought, but there's a couple of things that were running through my mind. One is I know it's more specific here. Um, and yes, like how connections to just not people but creatures are
Mm-hmm.
important. And maybe that's also what's important about memory. That memory and nature and emotions, those are all important. So then that made me think about that made me reflect on, let's say, how important it is to make sure that like that like our national parks are
Mm.
preserved, that endangered species are protected. And I'm under a loony bin orange potato head right now. And so, this is someone that wants to, or like, remove all that. And so then I think about what species are going to be affected,
Mm-hmm.
what how nature is going to be affected, and we lose something when those
Mm-hmm.
things go away. There's like a generational impact. And the immediacy over here, it seems to be, yeah, emotion, like knowing how to connect, which also I think connects to what you're saying about people losing their jobs,
Mm.
because there's so many things that have to do with, like, let's say the birds, for instance,
Yeah.
when they're losing that, then there's this practice of connecting through emotion that they're not able to have anymore. So maybe that's why it's so much easier for them when they lose the job, instead of being stressed about whatever that would be,
Mm.
which would be connection to family. Well, why would you care about that if you don't remember them?
Mm. Yeah,
Maybe
I
they
hear
have,
what you're saying.
so they've already gone through a practice of disconnecting emotionally
Mm.
because they haven't been allowed to do so. And so all of it's kind of like connected. To control a human, you have to control so many other components,
Oh,
I
for
think.
sure. And like you're saying, with that connection, um, climate, right? So
Yes.
public, private lands, all that type of thing, all the species that
Mhm.
rely on it. Here we had, I think we might still have it. I haven't checked lately, but a bird sanctuary.
Mhm.
And sadly, more and more of the development is encroaching on it. So that space is still a bird sanctuary, but all the other stuff going on right in that immediate area with these suburbs closing in is going to impact everything. And there's that ripple effect. But part of what got me with that job and just the, oh, I'm done being a bird person, I'm going to go do this, was there's only so many jobs in a community.
Yeah.
And this one doesn't seem to be advancing anywhere with new developments. It's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So, what other jobs are these people getting? Do you know what I mean? Like that part, I think that's when I really started going, what's happening here?
Yeah.
But we don't find out. And yeah, that whole it's like you're saying, without that emotional connection and the impact of memory, there there's just so much to it. And that's why I say this book was confusing, but
Yeah.
it's deep,
Yes. Yeah.
right? There's a lot to process after the initial read.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. That was, here's a question. Did I mark the page right? Oh, hold on. Oh, okay, 6. Okay, I didn't mark the page wrong, but I found it, so that's good. All right, so page 6, paragraph 2. We gathered on the banks of the river with our perfume. Then we opened the bottles and poured out their contents, watching the perfume dissolve in the water like some worthless liquid. Some girls held the bottles up to their noses one last time, but the ability to smell the perfume had already faded, along with all memory of what had meant. What is the significance of the perfume to the story, and what does it symbolize?
I've got a sticky there, and it says, doesn't make sense. Are these people programmed? And that's when I started thinking of The Giver,
Mhm.
because it talks about, like, we know there's something in the air. They can all sense that something's going to be taken away, to be forgotten. And them all just walking to the water and dumping it in the water. One, ew, I hope that's not what your drinking source comes from. But two, why are you doing it? Like, that's when I started getting frustrated, especially
Yeah.
as it kept going on, is I don't understand why these people are just doing this. Like, we know the memory police are there, but they come afterwards to make sure things have been eliminated, but we
Mhm.
don't know who they are, where they originally came from, and do they know what they're looking for and have all their memories?
Here's my theory. Oh no, go finish. You're going to say something. Go
No,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead. I'd love to hear what your
Yeah.
theory is.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, that's okay.
um, there are two things later on in the book. One is I think it was her editor, I think, or someone she runs across. Um, suggests it doesn't mean that it's true. It may be, but they're saying maybe it's like because they're trying to figure out how they're being controlled. And one of the suggestions were maybe it's when they're drinking tea. They could put it in the food
Hmm.
somehow. So just like as a hypothesis, they said, well, maybe when you just had tea right now, maybe there's something in the tea bags and we're drinking it. And so also she's like the second, as far as we know, maybe the second generation where this is happening, right? Because
Hmm.
her parents that were when they were alive had memories, and her
Yeah.
mom was keeping things away. So they've had a whole generation to affect all these people.
Hmm.
So they're being controlled somehow. We don't really have an idea. Secondly, towards the end of the book, when she does have to get a job,
Mm.
she's assigned to go to like a spice factory.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so I'm thinking that is might be how they're being, which kind of connects to me like to tea,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
they may be putting this in their food somehow and they can't not eat. And they're probably being supplied in a way that's controlled. And so if that's where she's working at, I could see how that may be an option of how this is coming about.
Well, that's a good point. And going to the spice and the tea, I mean, that's the other, and we'll talk about the perfume and symbolism. Well,
Mhm.
actually, let me talk about that first, because we'll talk more about the other as well. The perfume, I think, is that double connection of it's not just a visual memory of the bottle, there's the smell, right? The reason aromatherapy is so popular is because there's that memory to smell, and that immediate, the brain remembers and connects it to something, whether it's, lavender for relaxation or peppermint to wake you up. So the perfume disappearing is letting us know that it isn't just visual things they're forgetting. They're forgetting, is it olfactory, the smell?
Yeah.
Like, even the smell of things are not bringing those memories back.
Yeah.
But for me, the big part of that page, and it's great because, like I say, I've got my sticky tab still on there. So you're hitting pages I had things on too. But for me, the big part of that was, why are they doing it and not questioning? Like, how do they know? Like they talk about the stuff in the air and kind of a tingle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they've got a clue, but they don't know what's going to disappear. And then they all figure it out. So, like, is there some implant? How are they all mentally connected
Yeah.
to know what to pick up, and they just do it
Yeah.
without question, except for people like her mom. And then we start getting into like that whole divergent type thing, right? There were people who were different than the other factions.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of made me think of that too, is, there's her mom, there's the editor. Well, what's different about them
Mm-hmm.
that they haven't lost the memories, right?
Yes.
Because there's a very small group. But then going back to when you were saying the spice, or potentially it's in the tea or the food, because they have very limited resources or options for what to eat, what to drink. But then where is that coming from?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like somehow it has to be coming to this island, but yet they've forgotten, and you've got the spoiler thing, so we're okay. It says they don't have boats. Well, if they don't have boats, where did the memory police come from? Like, who are they? Do they have memories? And how are all these other food sources and things getting to this island? Because as things are being forgotten, right? They don't know how to do those things or manufacture those things, and they're just going between jobs. I couldn't get my head around some of the stuff, because the answers and the clues, if they were there, I didn't figure them out. I'm
Yeah.
like, you people aren't going to survive another generation or two, because you're forgetting things like really fast.
But that's what we think, but like that's a whole generation's been affected. And also, if we think of if all the humans on this island disappear, what's
Mm,
left? What's left is the land. And that may be
yeah,
something that the author's trying to say in terms of land grabs and what people will
there's
do.
a point I hadn't considered, but yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, what people will do, the terrible, terrible, atrocious things that they'll do just for land. But
For
again,
land, yep.
this is all up to interpretation because she doesn't really. It's not like we learn that maybe there's like what are people digging for now these days? It's not like we know if there's oil or like gold
Oh,
under the island or something like. There's
well, the
no.
minerals are the biggie right now.
Yeah. Like it's not like we know where there's a particular mineral unless it has to do with the spice related to the spice factory. Maybe that's something that they're trying to get at. But again,
Mm,
it's like so much is up for interpretation, and it's like it's hard to know how much because it's so vague. It's like it is deep, but how much credit can we give to the author when it's
mm,
that vague? Or is that the point? Is the point for us to feel just as confused as the character themselves? I don't know.
mm.
That could be a whole other meta thing. I'm gonna
That's
go
true.
say hello to the chat really quick.
Hello.
Hello, 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 hello. Thank you, Emma, author extraordinaire. Do they have blue upon blue eyes? I don't understand that critical thinker, but if you could ask that again, sorry, and then I'll get back to that. And let me go back here. Back, found a box outside my door. I have been given a vinyl player by the neighbors. Oh, very
Oh, neat.
nice.
I'm guessing that means records.
Yeah.
He always has to come up with different words, gets confused, called cookies, biscuits.
It's cookies or no cookies.
Right. Fries or chips. It's like, no, chips come in a bag and they're crunchy.
All right. So I'm going to read page 25,
Okay.
paragraph 1. Oh, okay, hold on. Before I do that, hold on. And now I'm understanding. I mean English. It's English. Critical thinker, the
Oh,
three men
okay.
in Dune have blue eyes and are dependent on spice. That is a great point. Thank you
Mhm.
for elaborating, because I was like, that. Yeah, you know what? I don't think they brought that up, but that's a great literary reference. I like that you're bringing that up. I wish I
Mhm.
had more to say, but I was like,
I still need to reread Dune. It's been patiently waiting 3 years.
you know what happened? Okay, so I had the first book, and for a while, I would read to my daughter like a chapter or something for her to like go to sleep. Even like, she's 18 and I would still do it. So
That's nice.
yeah, it was just something we love to do together. So
Yeah.
when it came to Dune, she kept like falling asleep. And so I kept reading the same section over and over again until I got put off. So I gave it to her and I'm like, all right. So that's like right about the time when our reading session ended. Now she's like 4 books deep and I'm so upset because she read it without me and I haven't returned back because I
Oh,
lost interest. But yeah, but I need to go back. But there's a whole bunch of books apparently. So that would be a
well,
whole project.
yeah, I read Dune decades ago and then I've seen, I think, 2 of the movies. And it was 4, oh, maybe it's been waiting 4 years. I was at Indigo. This is before I became like a big thrift store hangouter. And they had the box set because I wanted to reread Dune. And yeah, I noticed there's like a whole ton of them, but I just got the set of 3 because it was about the same price as getting a copy of Dune. And I'm like, well, that's stupid. I'll just get the box set. And they've been sitting on my shelves ever since. Like I had a buddy read planned with someone, and then things happened. Life got busy. So that never happened. I was going to read it when Aaron was having a thing and I just couldn't get there. Somebody else had, and I'm like, nah, it's waiting. But yeah, that is an excellent point about the blue eyes and the spice. And I mean, your theory was as good as anything I could think of is how are they controlling these people? Like, what's the end game? What's the purpose? Because it's being done for some reason. It's not like 1984 where they're just trying to control the people. There's something bigger going on, but we don't find out what the bigger is.
Mm. Right. I still have not read Dune. I did pick up book 1 the other day, though. Couldn't say no to it for under £5. New. Oh, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. If that was me, I'd have to like contain my excitement.
Well, see, and that's why I love the thrift store because I see all these books and even the hardcovers are $5. And
Yeah.
I'm like, $5 for a hardcover? It's coming home with me. Like, come on. That's why I've repurchased about 50 of the books I've unhauled over the decades. It's like, oh, but that's okay. They're good reads.
All right, so
All
I'm
right.
going to go to 3, page 25.
Okay.
It's like within the first paragraph. Before we know it, they'll have tested everyone on the island and stored our information in their database, though it's impossible to know how much progress they've made so far. No matter how careful we all leave behind the little bits of ourselves as we go about our lives. Hair, sweat, fingernails, tears, any of which can be tested. No one can escape. Uh, how do you think, like, what, in terms of genetics, how do you think they play a role here?
Well, I guess that, and I've got my little sticky there that says genes testing, island people are taken. Because we know there was another island they used to get to because they had the boats. And I think it was her parents that used to travel back and forth. And I mean, that brings up what's going on with this island. Like, what are they trying to develop? What are they trying to do? Who's coming in to do this testing? Is this where the memory police play a part? Like, who's getting their stuff and why?
Mhm, mhm, mhm. I also wonder when they're doing this, if this is like there's so much development scientifically to hurt these people they're trying to figure out. I really wonder if this island is being treated more like a
Lab?
yes, to test to go to other places and do potentially the same thing, which to me is definitely part of like the colonial construct, right?
Mm,
Throughout history, of the little that I have read, when I've read a book about like even what happened over here in Boyle Heights to something that happened in Kenya, like there's these patterns of like
mm,
these constructs doing something and then refining it, and it's like, all right, we hurt these people, now we're going to go do that somewhere else, but
mm,
better for them but worse for the people, you know. And so I kind of that was kind of like rolling around in my mind, but the
mm,
genetics feel like just maybe another way um to potentially control them, but like you said, I think it seems like the older generations, maybe what they were doing didn't really work on them,
mm.
and it, genetics are so complex. Maybe they're really just trying to crack that code to just refine controlling people, maybe.
Yeah, and I think that was partly why I was frustrated, why we don't find out more about what's not on this, like what else is around this island. But of course, we're getting it from the perspective of the author. And I mean, all she knows
Yeah.
is about the island. But even when we start hearing more from the editor, we still don't find out when do these changes start, right? Like how long ago did things start disappearing, and why in particular some of these things, like
Mm-hmm.
why birds?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like what's with the perfume? I mean, again, that's telling us as the reader it's not just visual, it's also smells that are
Yeah.
disappearing, and about the connection of even if they come across that. So, say somebody forgot to pour out their bottle of perfume, they'd look at it but have no idea what it was or have any significance tied to it.
Yeah.
Um, but even with the editor, we don't know what
Yeah.
else is out there. Like, has the whole world become a mess? Like in 1984, the chaos of the wars, and it keeps switching between who's allies, who's friends, and the government tells you, and then the government says, "Oh, it's always been this way," and no one seems to remember.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then in this story, it's, well, what was the starting point? Like,
Mm-hmm.
are they trying to develop a new type of human? Are they, like you say, trying to develop a new type of effective weapon? I mean, bioweapons, we've seen what happens in our own world, right? Agent
Yeah.
Orange, all that other crap these people test on their own people and deny it. Um, so what's the end game,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, also, um, it's like the memory police or this regime is really trying to attack senses, right?
Hmm.
There's the visual sense of the birds. There's the smell senses, because not only does that trigger memory, but maybe it's really trying to get at ideas. If
Mm,
someone sees a bird, they might think about taking flight
mm,
or something like that. And yes, and there's an affection there, to nature, to animals in nature. And then with perfume, then there's another connection to memory and maybe like a loved one
mm.
and what they once wore. And I don't know, that might be something.
Yeah.
But again,
Yes.
it's so vague.
Well, that's it. I mean, you could go round and round and round. And unless you actually got to talk to the author or came across an article and she said, oh, this is what I meant, we never find out.
Yeah.
Like, I was so cheesed at the last chapter. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? What?
I'm gonna do the chat for a second, and then I'll go back to
Yep.
the questions. Margaret's back. Take it easy, though, dear.
Good.
What's a final
He
player?
wasn't listening. Hee hee.
That's so funny. We were just discussing. Oh my gosh. Yes, record player. Oh, you're so funny. Oh, Van, you have us tickled over here. My fourth question, it's we come across the Inui family that temporarily hides with the main character,
Yep.
and they bring sculptures that the author character gave to them. What is so dangerous about art to a possibly authoritarian society? I can't say that word, but I know what I meant. Authoritarian society.
Yes, see, you got it.
Eventually.
Hey, there's Noah, well, he doesn't laugh, but Noah's the only one who can say it. There's a thing with Lovecraft, and nope, I need it spelled out phonetically, and then I slowly, Necromicon. There, I finally, because I can visualize, so I've seen it
Yeah.
the number of times he's typed it out for me. With that family, and okay, so see, here's the other thing. We don't know where the people who are taken go, and we never find out. Like her mother, actually, no, I can say Cthulhu, Margaret. But we don't know where they're taken. And we know that her mother came back, but then had a heart attack and died like a week later. But we know other people are taken by the memory police, and it's becoming more recurrent. And that's the pace starts to pick up. But where are these people going? Like, are they still on the island? Is there some way off this island we never find out about? And these people because we never do find out what happened, where they went, any of that. Like, what are they doing to them? Are they doing extra DNA testing? And so with the art, and that's the other thing I found odd. There are no character names. They're their jobs.
I also
other
think,
than this family.
yeah, the Inui family, yes. But I think that's also showing an importance to connection. I'm trying to think a couple examples. Like when people have kids, they name their kids.
Yeah.
If people have a bird as a pet, they're going to name their bird.
Yeah.
And there's a connection and an affection there. Kids have stuffed animals. What do? They name the stuffed animal.
Yeah.
When we turn on the news and we learn that someone's passed away that we never know, we just learn about an incident, we learn their names.
Yeah, that's true.
And so there's a connection, an affection, and an importance to names as well. Kind of like how does that saying go? I'm not gonna mess it up. Like, what is a rose by any other name?
Yeah.
slight different meaning, but I still feel like that's still important. Like you name a thing and then you create a connection. Definitely, I feel like affection is a big part. And
Yeah,
then
for sure.
then you're in a memory, right? You're not going to remember something if you don't necessarily remember the name.
And that's it. And that's why words and names are important, and the accuracy of it. That's why some of this news speak in the news ticks me
Mm-hmm.
off, or
Yeah.
some of these things on YouTube of, oh, you have to say unalive
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because the
That
other word, what?
I don't think I think it's people trying to get around being censored by the tube gods.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But
But yes.
why should that be an issue? Like when you start screwing around with words
Mm-hmm.
and not naming them accurately, that's
Yeah.
where you get a lot of misinterpretation, mixed messages.
Yeah.
Um, but before we get too far from your question, sorry, I
That's
do
okay. I
that.
have them written down so
My
we can
students
always
used
look
to
back.
rein me in too. They'd be like, "Hey, aren't we supposed to?" Oh yeah, well, okay, we're getting there. um,
What happens? It's fine.
but okay, mind for art. So the importance of art is, again, it's emotion, it's that creativity, it's freedom,
Yeah.
right? And so her hiding those items there, because she, at that time, they were still being given notice before they were going to be taken to whatever this place was. So she knew to hide those items and people she could trust to stash those things in the art. But I mean, art is individual. It's individual, it's freedom, it can't be monitored or forced. It's so many things, right? And so to a regime that wants to tell you what to do and when to do it and how to do it, art doesn't fit in that.
Yeah.
Like you can't sit someone down and go, paint me a picture, write me a book right now. Like
Yeah.
that's not how the process works. And the process works so differently for everyone, right? Like in terms of authors, some have outlines, some just free write and produce a piece of work. And, same with creating a picture. And the other is, I mean, art touches, whether it's music or sculpture, it's a very kinesthetic way of
Mm,
doing things, right? You've got the emotion, you've got the touch, you've got the thoughts. There's so much that goes into it. And if you're trying to take control of a group, the last thing you want them to do is an activity that brings them joy and freedom.
mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
creating, even poetry, even though, I mean, poetry covers all the emotions. Some people write about joy, some people, that's how they deal with the darkness or the dark times and they get it out in words. But it's still a joyful activity at the end of it, because even if they're writing about the dark times, they've produced something because of those dark times and they can share it with other people. So there's that individual creativity. It art is freedom.
Yeah. And also I feel like even the act of like hiding that art is like in itself rebellious.
Yeah, it's defiance. It's like, I will not forget. I will keep this so somebody at some point will find it again and remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. And art could also be like a time capsule, right?
Well,
When you make that, it's like when we start art, we study like art history, right? And that tells us something of the time.
yeah,
And art can be also like reactionary, and creating art could be a form of protest. in itself to whatever is going on. So yeah, but that, even though the author wrote this in this book, I also feel like uh, we see this all the time, right? Of artists reacting to things politically or human
Yes.
rights issues.
Yep.
Um, so it's like this form of expression, like you said, freedom, to try to find ways to break away from these political actions. That was really interesting.
Exactly. Well, and think too with the different pictures. I mean, art, I'm think it could be a sculpture, it could be a painting. So all of those that contain birds, when birds disappeared, would have to disappear as well, not just the birds,
That's true.
right? And I mean, that's the thing again with art, and you're right. I mean, think of the different farm aids or concerts to bring attention.
Hmm.
Art also elevates what's going on and brings it to a wider audience. Although this particular island, I mean, she talks about her relatives on the other side that she hasn't seen, cousins, I think she talks about, but travel is very limited. Like, it's got to be a fair size island because later she's talking about the trains and the bus when they're coming back near the end. Um, so there's some way to get around, but this family hasn't stayed connected for whatever reason. Even though later we find out she wouldn't just have to walk there, she could have taken a bus, taken a train. But I don't know. Like it's mind-boggling
Yeah.
of like what was the purpose of this? Are they trying to create a different type of human, a different type of
Mm.
weapon? You know, why?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, that's psycho speech, just like
Oh,
Brave New World. Yeah, I
I
haven't
need to
read the
finish
book.
that.
Oh, okay. I have to check that out. I love literary references, but I pulled it up because I'm like, which one is that one? I'm familiar with the cover. Like I see it, I immediately know which book you're talking about. But
Aldous Huxley. I started that November 2024 as part of the banned book. And it
mm,
was funny because most of the reads that I did were rereads, which I guess I just naturally stumble into things that piss people off. I found something I'm good at and I've stuck with it all my life. Now, I haven't read Brave New World. That was a new to me read, but I started it in November and I'm like, well, I'm already living it. So this is going on the shelf and I still haven't been able to pick it up and finish it.
Margaret, there's no earth without art. Yes. Yes. As long as humanity, really, right? Yeah. Critical thinker. We store
Yeah.
memories in art. That is a great point. I like this.
Yeah.
Yes. That's definitely. Yeah, it's like what was that movie, that children's movie about emotions? I don't know why I can't think of it right now. But they have like it's kind of like this orb and they're like they're storing emotions, but I don't think that's also storing memories. Oh, I can't think of it right now.
Can't think. If we had Kat here, she'd be all over that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hold on.
There's another one on his shelf.
About emotions.
Oh, there we go.
I can't think of it right now. I tried figuring it out. Um, that's another book sitting on my shelf. Well, we need to get to it. We need to get to it. It'll be a project at some point for us. Brave New World is a good paired with 1984. Okay.
Yeah, and I
Good to know.
read 1984, and like I say, even before I got involved with the banned book project that year, I was already gonna reread that in 2024, and I made a video about the comparison. Partly
Mm,
because, okay, so they did the movie with Back to the Future to compare, which was kind of silly. They said it so close together, but either way. And I'm like, Why hasn't anybody else done a comparison of 1984 with 2024? Oh, yeah, because this stuff is actually happening. So heaven forbid we point that out to the my hat's too tight and I don't know how to loosen the strap in the back crowd. And we've got them up here too, sadly.
Yeah, I just remember the name of the movie, Inside Out. That's what it was.
Oh, I've never seen it.
It's a tearjerker. It's a good
Oh,
one. I'm trying to remember where I was at. Hold on. There. Oh, okay. You kind of brought this up, but I kind of wanted to circle back to it.
yep.
Page 39. All right. So
31, Leslie?
page 39.
Oh, 39. Okay.
The Inui family disappeared, but did they escape? I didn't understand that part. And the author wrote, nails fluttered to the floor. Was a description that reminded me of the birds because the nails fluttered, which have already disappeared. How does the main character know if she's helping the memory police disappear people or not? So I had a whole bunch of questions about the Inui family because she was hiding them for them to get away. But then I think they had a child, and so she was cutting their nails. And like I said before, that's, genetically, maybe they found a nail clipping or something, because it says, and that's how the Nui family disappeared. So it's not like she's saying they escaped or they got away. She says disappeared. So does that mean that they didn't get away?
Something comes up later, and here's another part of this island that doesn't make sense to me. So she cuts the little boy's fingernails, which we've already talked about with the genetics, and I can't remember what she did with the fingernails, but I remember her cutting his nails and then putting the gloves back on, those little blue gloves. And I keep wondering, what is going on with the climate on this island? Because they're wearing scarves, they've got gloves. Later, she sees the truck with the little blue glove as more and more people, they're not even getting warnings anymore. They're just being taken away. But where are they being taken to and why? Like with the Inui family, I think one of them did have the memories. The father, wasn't it? He was the teacher.
Yeah.
The professor. And so the whole family is going together. But what's with the gloves on the hands? Because they were in the house. His hands weren't cold. Like, what has happened? What do these people physically look like?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Why is he wearing gloves inside?
That's interesting.
Because that really got me, because the time they're wearing scarves and everyone's wearing gloves, but it doesn't sound like it's a wintertime season, which would make sense that you'd wear that type of stuff when it's cold and snowy. But what's with these knitted things indoors?
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer.
Supposed to give me all the answers. I read this. I'm like, Leslie, you read books way different from me. I don't need to think this much.
You want to go back to ACOTAR now?
Yeah, see, ACOTAR is easy compared to this stuff. It's like, oh, great, she's swinging off the chandeliers again, and he's got wings. I think that's about one of the only scenes that isn't in there, but pretty much every other piece of furniture is a romper room.
That's so funny. All right, Ben went to go take a little bit of a break before his sprints. We'll be over there later. I'll be saying hello.
Take care.
Also, yeah. Okay, I'm going to turn back to this.
Yep.
How do people they don't know. I don't know why I thought this because she was cutting the nails. Maybe part of affecting the memory and taking away emotion, yes, it's control, but it's like, for instance, how does she know that she's not inadvertently at times, or anyone that's having their memory affected, know that they're not in some way helping the memory police because they're so manipulated?
Mm, I got nothing. That's too deep.
I have an answer either, but this book led to more questions.
Well, I agree because, I mean, like I say, I was wondering about the climate because of the clothing and the descriptions, and I mean, later, we know those blue gloves come up because she sees the gloves and she's thinking the family got captured.
Yeah.
We've got the question about genetics and what are they testing for and who's coming to pick up these nail clippings and things. How does this, my big thing too is how does this island continue to function with an economy when
Mm.
people are constantly changing jobs, things are disappearing, they're willingly eliminating things like when the photographs disappear,
Mm.
you know, but then it was confusing because there's still photos in places. So is that testing to see if they remember something and catch them? Like, is this
Mm.
because the one time they come in her house after something was supposed to disappear and they go searching through her house, but they don't take every item. They pile a bunch of things up, take it, but not all of it. So, do they leave some of it to test and see if you're just screwing with them that you've lost your memories? Because again, there's that emotional reaction to certain things, right? Particularly with memory.
Yeah.
And that really boggled my brain of, okay, if this thing's supposed to disappear and your memory of it disappears, why are some of these things still around? Like, what's the point? And why these particular things?
Yeah. I think that's a great. I definitely think that's a great point in terms of the practice of finding new ways to control and test, which leads
Hmm.
me back to think that maybe they're treating them more like lab rats than anything.
Yeah, and I hadn't, well, no, maybe I did. Yeah, because with the genetics, I thought of, kind of experimenter. But again, why? Who?
Mm. Also, probably not critical thinker. Sorry, I saw your question. Are the only because this came out in like 94, I think. Uh, Back when I was born in the
Hmm.
1900s. Are the photos AI generated to create or support a false reality? Although this is kind of like sci-fi, what do you call it? Sci-fi. So that
Hmm.
could definitely be a component that we bring into the world that we live in now. That's a great question.
Hmm.
All right. So on page, oh wait, I'll read page 151, the very last paragraph. It says, am I going to read everything? Okay. I wonder whether their footsteps and the noise from the search had reached R in the hidden room. Was he clutching his knees, his back rounded into a ball, trying to make himself smaller? He was probably sitting on the floor, since the bed and the chair tended to squeak, and no doubt he was barely breathing for fear of being heard. And through it all, the music box was watching over him. So the main character is hiding her editor.
Hmm.
What times or parts of history does this remind you of?
Nazis and Frank,
Yes.
right? And
Um,
I've got their police come to the house at the end of the old man's party. So they were celebrating his birthday then. What I had a hard time, even though I can visualize, but I had a hard time imagining how this room went undetected in a house, because their houses don't sound huge.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, I can't remember his height, but if he could stand up, and there's only 2 floors to this place, like there's a big honkin' something looking odd either on the first or the second floor for that room, even though it's not massive and they, put in a toilet and this and that. But somehow it had to stand out in the structure. But
Yeah.
yeah, that definitely reminded me of Anne Frank, and other time periods, the Underground Railway and the coffins, like so many different times throughout humanity where people have stood up
Yeah.
and protected, tried to keep people hidden from, the dog killer and her troops.
Yeah. Definitely because of the floorboards. And then for me, it reminded me of I saw I think it was like a TED talk years ago, and it doesn't matter how much time has passed by, I still remember it because it made such an impact for me.
Mm,
So in April of 1994, Rwanda, east of the continent, there were tensions between the Hutu-controlled
yeah.
government and the Tutsi, and so the rebels led a genocide where corruption and bribes were going on, and so there was a survivor. Actually, I don't know if I put it in the details, but I will later. And she did a TED talk, and she was talking about how her
Mm,
and several other people were hiding in a bathroom, and they could not move. They were
yeah.
just because everything was such in chaos, and they just ran to wherever they
Yeah.
could. And she was there just for so long, for day the entire time this thing was going on.
Mm,
And she really speaks on I'm not religious. I think it was that where she was talking about such a terrible time and such a thing happened, but that she actually reconnected with God. So that was
mm,
what her talk was about. But that always really touched me, and the fact that she could have ran into any home, and that hinged on whether that person in that home was going to let her live or die.
yeah, exactly.
Because so many people were doing it because they were also promised land or all these terrible things. And so when I read that part, I don't know, I just kept thinking about her and just
Mm,
having to hide and not move, and that her livelihood hinged on just her not being recognized. Sorry, recognized to exist. Um, but yeah, so that's part of why I also, as much as this whole time it's bothered me how vague it is, it's those little breadcrumbs.
mm,
This would be a great breadcrumb instead of us as readers being able to connect to different parts of history where these kind of things have gone on.
yeah. Yeah, see, for me, it was, and I haven't reread it, but I read about Anne long ago. And so when I was coming to these parts with that room, although being claustrophobic, I didn't get way in depth in it because it's yeah, no, I'd be dead because I ain't living with no in no room with a door that I can't get out. That just not happening. No window, nah.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but it made me think of Anne
Mhm.
growing up without being able to play. Like she
Yes.
couldn't go outside. She couldn't play. And I mean, with this character, he's expecting his first child, he's married, and then suddenly everything changes because he can remember things, and that becomes dangerous. And this whole thing happens. And I mean, you're right. And see, this is again, whether it's this book or so many others, right? as readers, we bring our own life experience to it, whether that's things we've been through ourselves or other books we've read, movies we've watched. And so every time we enter, whether it's like I said, 1984 was a different read 40 years apart. But I'd been through other things in those 40 years. The world has changed in those 40 years, making it a completely different read, and why it's important to keep all these books from way back when. Because each read is a bit different because you change. Well, other than makeup face, that's just going to be a doofus until the end. But other people grow and develop, and it's these conversations that make that reading an important experience, right? Because you bring yourself, what you've read, and then you talk to other people and get new ideas. So, for example, you were talking about some of the things that I hadn't considered reading it, in terms of the land grab. I was, I kept trying, like, okay, there's got to be a group of people out there. Who are they? Why are they? What's going on here? Why take away the memories? Why these particular objects? And I always worry, and partly 1984, partly what the world just went through, why target the seniors? Oh, they remember. They remember. I don't think it's a fluke that we just had an issue and a lot of our seniors are gone in this new nightmare that is.
Yes, completely unprotected, completely put in harm's way.
I mean, I'm not like totally conspiracy theory reptilian people, but I don't think that timing was an accident. Just saying. Just saying.
Yeah. No, very important to say it out loud and speak it into existence. When reading this book, did you consider, because I was, maybe this is like the danger part of it for the characters, but how do these characters know who to trust?
Well, see, and other than the old man on the boat, right, she really doesn't trust anybody else. I mean, she's very careful who she talks to. Certainly the new editor, after the one disappears, very mindful of what she says, what she talks about, what she shares. And I mean, that's part of this culture too. Intimacy is that whole element of trust. She's got so few people that she can talk to. And again, the smaller the group, the smaller the understanding. I mean, for myself, I have a very limited number of people who I chat with, right? To me, I don't need hundreds of people. I'm not a Facebook booker where I have 2,000 friends I've never met and I don't know who in crikey they are and I'll never meet them. But through that group, there's open, honest discussions, and you need to have that to not be with the blinders on all the time, because when you read something and you have one opinion, and that's based on your life experience and all the rest of it, and it doesn't make it right or wrong, it makes it yours. But unless you talk with other people about what you've read, your viewpoint doesn't get broadened or expanded, or, looking at things a different way. But to do that, you have to have communication with people. And in this society, there isn't really that opportunity because they're always worried about the memory police, or if they do remember, telling the wrong person they remember, because then they're going to be disappeared. And that limits her because her parents are gone. She's basically got the old man to talk to. She had trusted her editor, but now he's living in her floorboard. So, like, he's kind of out of the loop,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so her world is becoming smaller because it has to for safety and to protect him, because that's what she's really starting to realize is now she's having to really be extra careful because she's not just looking out for herself, she's looking out for him
Yeah.
while trying to stay in touch with his wife. And I mean, he's got a little boy he's never going to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Which really talks about like just the act of continuing to sever those connections.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, it was an important read. I mean, it still ticks me off she didn't explain more, but it was a good read.
Yeah.
I don't like those cliffhanging books, even with the Bigfoot Devolution.
Oh,
I'm like, there needs to be a sequel. Like,
yeah.
dude, you can't just leave us hanging like this. I
The
don't like
one book,
those books.
the one book that actually I wasn't really a fan of, even though I know it's been adapted and made into like a series. Did you read The Handmaid's Tale?
Yes, reread it. Actually
That
did
book,
it as a buddy read with Dave and Olive and Vin from Revenant Reads. Loved doing that with two guys. Loved it
I liked
because
the ending. Because that ending was a cliffhanger, right?
yeah,
But I liked that. I like because I
yeah,
felt like it gave the sense of danger of she has to blindly trust someone. She has no
mm,
other choice. She has no other choice. She's just
well,
being
there's
told
that.
to do this thing, and she's going out to the unknown, and she may die
Yep.
or she may escape. And we as a reader have no clue. And that's one of the few like cliffhanger books I liked because it actually had more about it had. I felt like that's an example of a cliffhanger having a function of the book,
No,
where
it
other
needed an
cliffhangers
answer.
don't.
I
Yeah,
love the story,
yeah,
and I think any female right now, if you haven't read it, get it, read it, process about ATMs, because again, I read that back in 70s, early 80s, somewhere in the 70s. I don't do math, so it was before now,
yeah.
decades ago. And it made an impact on me then, being a young woman. And, you know, it was, oh, you should be getting married and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, I need to be getting a job and taking care of myself. Thank you very much. And I mean, reading that book too was like, yeah, you see all this stuff stripped away, and suddenly women don't have their own money. But the ending irritated me. I don't like cliffhangers. I don't read mystery, very seldom, because it's like, no, I'll just read the last chapter and decide if I need to read the rest of the book. But it did leave things open ended. And I can see what you're saying in terms of it serves a purpose, and you're left questioning. I think when I first read it, and particularly having just read it and where the world is now, no, I want me a damn happy ending. There's too many unknowns. I want to know that that was all for something going in a new direction. I don't want that cliffhanger crap, and no. Just no.
All right. With that said, on to the next question. So I'm going to read page 186, the last paragraph that it turns into page 187, which ends the chapter. I followed the arc of the last book as it tumbled through the air, and suddenly I realized that long ago I had stood at the same window with my father and looked out at a similar sight. I took a deep breath and felt a slight pain as though a spark had found its way into the bottomless swamp of my heart. A bird, quote unquote. I remembered the pages of the book had opened and fluttered through the air, just the way birds had once spread their wings and flown off to the distant places. But this memory too was soon erased by the flames, leaving behind nothing but the burning night. So once again, we see birds
Mm-hmm.
used again. And so people are burning books. Like they dumped out perfume earlier in the novel.
Yep.
Um, I'll just leave it there and let you talk a little bit about what your thoughts are about that.
Well, it's one I don't have a sticky note on, oddly enough. But with that, throughout the book, it keeps going back to heart and memory and parts of the heart.
Yeah.
So again, that emotion, the feelings that go with the memories. And she has that nice little, or she has that moment of memory. So they're capable of remembering things, but only briefly,
Mm-hmm.
right? Again, the fluttering, like the part you read with the family, the fluttering, and there's a lot of things that keep coming up throughout this. There's the heart, the dead
Mm-hmm.
heart, the parts of the heart, the pieces of heart, tying in with memory, the bird, the references to fluttering, and the books, and then watching all these books disappear. And then again, why books? Like, what are they trying to stop? We've got perfume, so are we trying to end relationships and connection? Are we just talking about these memories being wiped out, both visually and from scent? I mean, the boat, okay, we know why that memory got wiped out, because they don't want them leaving the island. That would make sense. But what are the other, and like you said, with birds, is it about not like forgetting about that, so we're not as focused on taking care of the land or as invested in the land as we once were? Books, well, you don't want people thinking. And
Yeah.
again, even in books, and see, this is why, partly with 1984, and even in this one, you can't do it completely. So they took away birds, physical birds, but there'd be a book there somewhere. Now, and I remember them talking about the library and a limited number of books, and people weren't really reading much by the sounds of it anyway. Like it wasn't a day-to-day type of activity, and the school had closed. And I'm thinking, where are the children?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if the school's closed, but yet the editor is about to become a father, so there's children, maybe not many of them by the sounds of it, because if the school closed, where did the kids go?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, there's just so many bizarre things to this, and we don't really know what size the community is.
Yeah.
Like, if we're told, I've forgotten, but I get the sense that this is almost like a village,
Yeah. Yeah.
the
That's
village.
like because we only have so much information.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was thinking about. Oh yeah. Okay. So so much of like, yeah, the visual representation of the book, I felt like is an example of like connecting to emotion. So here's something else that you're seeing. and that because she saw that, she made the connection to a bird fluttering, and it's like, so they removed one thing, or they're trying to, but it's still even though it's gone, it still exists in memory. Like we're holding on to that. And the same thing for books. They could burn them, but they'll still exist within us. And like you're saying, they're dismantling education system. They don't have access to the libraries. And it's like, if they're not going to the library, even though it's there, I think that also speaks to lack of connection because of memories, just like, we'll have an affection for, I brought this up before, but like a stuffed animal or something that's not necessarily a real thing, right?
Yeah,
It's a toy, but the same thing with the book, but we still make connections to it. We still have affection to it. It's still like, it's so many things. It's escape. It's a connection to reality. It's something to connect to family. Like it represents so many things because it's also another art form, I suppose. And that could also be like a link to freedom. And so they're slowly trying to like remove all these different connections.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I found that it's but there's so much like we could interpret from that.
Well, that's it. And I mean, throughout the entire book, like you say, there's so many different interpretations you could get from it. The way things are done, like the old man and his stuff on the ship, and he may not remember things, but there's a lot to that relationship between her and him. Then we've got the timing of the memory police showing up at the end of his party, and then they're looking at plates and everything. And it's like, for all the times they could have shown up at her house, what was it about this particular time that brought them in? You know what I mean? And the same with when these people disappear, not all of them come back. Why? Like her mom was just gone for a week.
Yeah.
Some of these other people are gone. And as our book's progressing, more and more people are being taken without any warning to prepare and get things in order. Now they're just being taken and gone. And more of them are being taken more quickly. So what's coming to a head in this situation that everything's being ramped up faster? And we don't really find that out, other than that one group managed to get a boat working again. So was that kind of the tip off that whatever this experiment was isn't working? Like, is that what ramped everything up? Because somehow they figured out how to repair a boat, even with all the important parts gone. Leslie, you froze. There you are. Uh-oh. Okay, I'm hoping Leslie's gonna jump back in because I've never had this happen before.
Sorry, are you there?
Hey! I'm like, what now? Wait, I can't do Leslie's live show.
I'm sorry, I'm here. My internet just went out or something.
Oh no.
I think that's what happened. I'm sorry. I'm here.
That's okay. I'm like, do I sing? Do I dance? What am I supposed to do till she comes back?
And I was trying to type and it wouldn't let me. I was like, no. My phone was in the other room, so I couldn't send you a message on Vox or anything. I'm sorry. Continue what you're saying.
That's okay. I don't know. What was I babbling? Oh, the boats. Was I babbling about that? About the experiment that they must have figured out it wasn't working, and they're ramping everything up faster and faster because that group gets the boat. We have no idea where the boat went. Isn't there a fog or something coming in too?
Yes.
So like, and again, the gloves, the fog, what happened to the other island? Is the other island even still there? Have we had some kind of a global catastrophe, or is it just warmongers trying to do whatever warmongers do? Like, there's so many unanswered questions, and you could probably talk about this book for a month every day and still not figure everything out. Like, there's just so many different layers and things about in terms of relationships and memory and connections, like you said, right? They're severing more and more connections on so many different levels, but yet through our narrator, the author, there's again always those little glimmers that come up, even if the rest of the memory doesn't fully come back. There's that, well, it happens to us all the time, right? When you try and remember a name, or earlier when you were trying to remember the movie, right? That tip of my tongue thing, it's on the tip of my tongue, but you just can't quite remember it. But that's how these people live day to day. Right? Like you were saying with the fluttering of the pages, and then the bird memory came up, or the fluttering of the nails, and the family disappeared. And so their memories aren't completely wiped out. It's some of the emotion is gone, because when they see something, even when they remember the word, the emotion of it doesn't come back.
Yeah, and I also think you're tapping into why emotions are so important and how they're trying to dull those. Because if she had not seen that book flutter, she wouldn't have been stirred to make a connection in that way,
Yeah.
And the memory of birds lives on in her if she's able to hold on to that emotion to create that connection. It's like, very beautiful and sad at the same time.
Oh, sorry, she's got a pencil. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
How did you get that pencil, you little monkey? You're a thief, little klepto. I was wondering why she was so interested under, I've got my cart here, but the other day she was up on the desk and she's discovered, oh, Mom keeps some of her pens here.
Yeah.
Well, I like pens. So she must have stolen it, and then she stashed it under my cart, and now she was just trying to get it back to play with it. You're a monster. You're a monster. Are you going to come up and say hi to Leslie? She'll wait.
Yeah. All right.
I know. Yep.
So just the page before that, let me see, 184. Where am I at? Oh, page 184, 185. Right at the bottom. But what if human beings, this is actually foreshadowing, right? Because it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
What if human beings themselves disappear, I asked. This was a question that had been on my mind. The old man swallowed and blinked again. You have to stop worrying about these things like that. The disappearance are beyond our control. They have nothing to do with us. We're all going to die anyways, someday. So what's the difference? We simply have to leave things to fate. What do you think about his perspective?
Complicit old white men in a White House. Just say. I think that whole, Well, yeah, it's the complicit. It's out of our control. We can't do anything. So just go with the flow and take your punches and don't complain about it. And I mean, that whole fate, I know you're there. You're going to jump up when I least expect it. But that whole fate is there's nothing we can do. We're helpless. So make the best of it. And it was just frustrating. But partly because I don't understand what gets the people to be compliant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what like I said, with the perfume, it's like, okay, you all knew. And it's almost like not zombies, but you know what I mean. There was no thought to it. They just all, oh, perfume's disappearing. Let's all go get rid of it. Or books are disappearing. Let's set the library on fire. It's like, what is making you all do this?
Yeah.
Because the memory police aren't there holding guns on them or even coming to the houses to make sure they do it. They're all compliant.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
why?
Yeah, there's such a deep complacency.
Why?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure she went to see her dad. So like, Mom's not cooperating. She took my pencil. Me. But that was, I think, one of the biggest frustrations with this book is what makes these people so compliant? Like, going back to, is it, like you said, possibly the tea or the spice? But that doesn't explain how they know what object to forget and get rid of.
Yeah.
Do you know what, like, how do they all know that it's perfume? How do they know it's books? We know there's something in the air. Like, there's something weird about this island. And we know they all get this tingle feeling, which I'm guessing the editor wouldn't because he doesn't forget. But so how do those people who don't forget play along? Right? They would have to wait for someone to grab an object to know what to grab and get rid of it. Because their behavior would be entirely different. And that comes up more near the end of the book, which I couldn't entirely process.
Yeah.
Because of course you can't fake that balance deal, which is when more and more of them were getting caught. And part of me was like, okay, that hasn't disappeared. So what are you people doing? Like, those things didn't physically go anywhere. They could just no longer somehow in their head sense them. I was thinking until the end statement, but I won't, because that just blew me away with the transition in the room.
Yeah.
That one messed me up. I'm like, are you vapor? Are you hallucinating? Did you open the door and you think you're like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
made me think.
Like today, many people comply because they want to align with power, no matter how illogical. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. And also this person is just that's such a, I don't know what else to say other than complacency. It's just a defeatist attitude.
Yeah.
Just be like, what's gonna happen?
Don't rock the boat.
Like a lot of like lying down on the train track and being like, well, it's gonna pass by. Like,
yeah.
Get up. Do something.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, don't make waves, don't rock the boat. This is the way things are. Let's not make it any worse or speed things up. It's just, so I don't believe in fate. I don't think everything's mapped out.
Yeah.
I think there's signposts and things along the way, but you have free will. You always have a choice what you choose to deal with or not. Right? There's always a choice to be made. Even when it seems like there isn't one, not making a choice is making a choice. And yeah, the old man, I think that part with me kind of surprised me at his, because it almost seemed like he was willing to try and make a difference or understand and see where things are going, but really he wasn't. He was just, yeah, it's happening, and we carry on, and when the next thing gets forgotten, oh well. And actually, there's the big bugaboo as well. He lives on a boat. How is that boat still there?
Yeah. Maybe he's saying this because he's more of maybe this is an example of someone being more of a plant. He could be planted there, and that's why he's talking this way. He just wants to make sure. Maybe that's something the memory police also implement. Let's send some of our people here, and kind of put this kind of defeatist attitude, so there will be no questioning.
Except he helps her.
Yeah,
but they're likely.
That's true.
What's that?
That's true.
No, but I do think there are plants throughout this village, town, whatever it is, for sure, because it doesn't sound like these memory police are always marching around. Like, they're around somewhere all the time. We just don't quite know how or how often. But like I say, with him, what didn't fit is, how are you living on a boat when boats are forgotten? Like, when people look at where you're living, do they think you're floating in the air? Like, that part really confused me. And that's when it may have been before that, but that's when I was like, wait a minute. If things have disappeared and been forgotten, how is this boat still in existence?
Yeah.
Like, what are people thinking when they look at it? They know it's not a house, it's floating on water. And we know it's been damaged so that no one can go away on it, and he's allowed to live there, but it's why?
Yeah. No, that's a great point.
Yeah, it's so confusing.
By this time, the main character, she can no longer remember what she's writing, and she begins to not be able to remember words. So this whole book that we're reading, she is trying to write something and then struggling to do that. I kind of felt like trying to turn this into a question. I felt like that was also talking about how important stories are to connection. Just like the books and the birds are. What did you think about her regression?
Yeah, because we have a book in a book, right? Because she's writing the book and telling us the story, and then suddenly when books disappear, words are communication, whether they're on paper or spoken, which is a whole other conundrum, right? Because it isn't just books that disappeared. There's that whole communication with other people.
Yeah.
And her struggling to try and finish the book, which of course she can't, because I just thought of someone else who can't string two coherent sentences together, but I'll just leave that alone for now.
Yeah, somehow they made it to the top. They'll say it. Where do I start? They can't even read.
And yes, I can say that because English is my second language, but I'd have to work at sounding that stupid. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, so does everyone
um,
else except for him. Lord.
but yeah, that started getting way complex. And it's like, oh, are you telling me the story in the story isn't going to be finished? Because how is she going to pull this off? She doesn't know how to do it. He can't do it for her. You know, she's busy with her job at the spice place. And
Sorry. You, you got me there.
very true.
Very, very true.
Watched him wander around that lovely band performance, but but
Oh,
yeah, it was, are we going to finish the story? How is she going to finish the story? Because okay, am I getting confused? It's the keyboards, right?
yes.
Okay, because I'm like, wait a minute, was this at a Memnock or is this the room with the keyboards and she disappears and the weird clothes? Is that the
Yeah.
story?
Yeah, she
Okay, the typing class.
yes.
Okay,
She gets hired as a typist.
okay. But her story has to do with the typing as well, right? The
Yes.
typing teacher?
I just remember that she gets hired at the spice factory as a typist, or maybe she was a typist and then get hired at the spice
Oh
factory.
no, wait, ghost stories. Nix that. Getting confused on her story and where I was reading about the typist and the keyboards. Okay, we're good. Memories. See, I've been making too many makeup jokes. Now it's catching up with me. Maybe I'll get an Einstein visa, though. I hear you don't need many brains for one of those. Anywho, um, yeah, I don't know because I was like, where do we go now? And again, that's how did she get a job at the spice factory? How many other people had to disappear for these openings to keep happening?
yes. Yeah.
Right? Because I mean, we have no idea how many people are in this population.
Yes.
But in order for these people to keep switching around jobs when something goes wonky, well, something disappears, other people had to have disappeared for those openings to exist.
Yes.
So as somehow we're just not catching on to how many people are disappearing.
Yes, I think it's between that complacency, losing memories, so lack of connection, lack of emotion. If you're severing those, who's going to care about someone if you're not allowed to know them?
And that's it. Like, other than the old man and then the editor, because she enjoys working with him, and then that's why she wants to protect him and worried about him disappearing. But those are her only two relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Like even where the new editor and where she does her books, it's only the editor she's hiding she has any kind of emotional tie or response to.
Yeah.
And the old man, because wasn't his wife her nanny? There was some
That I don't
connection.
remember.
I think there was some connection prior to, and that's how she knew him and why she trusted
Mm-hmm.
him. But if not for that, she'd have nobody. And we don't know how the other people in this town, village relate or respond to each other. Like there aren't many bonds by the sounds of it.
Yeah, it's very disjointed. And I think
Yeah.
that also speaks to how community, just the existence of community, can be dangerous. People sticking together, being there for another, making those bonds. is somehow a danger to these policed societies.
Oh, yeah, because they don't want people comparing ideas, sharing stories, having thoughts. I love the critical thinking. I wish I'd have thought of that for a handle. That's awesome. But, the last thing they want is people making that connection or talking together, and heaven forbid having ideas or strategies or figuring out or asking the big questions of, hey, why'd we just all walk to the sea and dump out our perfume?
Yeah.
Like they just do it. No one questions it. No one stops them and goes, wait a minute, why are you doing that? So
Yeah.
of course they don't want relationships or people chit-chatting about things or wondering, hey, wait a minute, or what do you think of when you look at this?
Yeah.
Right? And then again, she keeps talking about the different parts of the heart and that memory. And I mean, that's where, look at Valentine's Day and everything. I mean, that's where people have always thought their emotions are in the heart. And then of course, as all these things are disappearing, she's talking about her heart getting smaller and smaller because those emotions, those memories aren't there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. On chapter 26, page 252, like the first paragraph, now we're into, it's no longer foreshadowing, right? Gradually, we become accustomed to living without our legs. Needless to say, things did not go back to the way they had been before. Not exactly, but our bodies acquired a new sense of balance, and a new kind of daily rhythm took hold. Eventually, we stopped noticing people who were unable to stand without holding on to something, or who were too tense to walk naturally, or who fell at random moments. We learned to control our bodies without too much inconvenience. What does that mean to you?
Well, I was talking about that just briefly before, and
Yeah.
that's why I said this messed me up because I'm like, your legs aren't gone.
Yeah.
And we know that because she talks about being in that hidden room with the editor and he's touching her leg.
Yeah.
So her leg isn't gone, it's not physically gone. And that's when I really started going, I'm not understanding this. That there is something I'm missing here because your leg's right there. Like you should be able to visually see it. How can you not know your body parts right there?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it's a lack of recognition, which is also maybe connected to memory.
Mm,
Like, how are you going to remember something? Like, because there's short term memory and there's long term memory, and maybe those are being affected.
yeah.
So, kind of like how they don't have any names. You're starting to, uh, it, it's like the opposite of a phantom limb.
Mm.
Um, and it's like you're just losing. Now you spent so much time losing connection to everything else, and now you're losing connection to yourself.
Well, and that's it. And it's almost like the not believing what you're seeing
Yeah.
because they can physically see
Yeah.
their legs there. But yet somehow there's a disconnect in the brain that it's still there.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they there isn't that feeling. They're walking different, even though both legs are right there.
Yeah.
And that really messed me up because I'm like, okay, the leg's there, but you're not using it. So what is it dragging along behind you? Because
Yeah.
it's still attached.
Yeah.
Like it
She no longer they're not remembering how to even function. But I also
well,
think that there's like a symbolic part of it to complacency, right?
Yeah.
Because they're actually just saying, well, we're just going to adapt. The person next to them struggling, I'm not reading about them helping each other out. They're all just kind of like, well, they'll figure it out.
Yeah. And that's when they start escalating, picking people up. And it's not long after that, I think the truck goes by with the blue glove, because you can't fake not knowing your leg is there.
Yeah.
Right. So others are wobbling all over the place by themselves. And that's why I say there really doesn't seem, I mean, other than these ones, yeah. So there's kids, because that family has 2 kids, but they obviously don't go to school because the school's closed. But other than those small clusters, there doesn't seem to, unless I'm remembering wrong, but there's not much of a sense of community. Let's all help each other out.
Yeah.
It's more like, let me keep my distance so you don't rat me out to the police.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'll just, I'll do my thing, you do your thing. And like, we don't have street parties or anything like that. They all do their own thing. The only time they're a collective is when they're getting rid of something.
Mm.
It's very confusing. It's very confusing.
Yeah. Which yes. But again, I can't tell. I felt like, well, maybe that was the point, was for us to be just as confused as her. And as we get to read a book from beginning to end, it's like in reverse for her. She's trying to write a book and she can't get there, because even stories are dangerous, like any other of the art forms.
Yeah.
And let's not create things to remember or to connect anything else.
Yeah, and I think that is a big part of it, is about the importance of those connections and emotions, because it's the emotion. Like, for example, there's all this talk about consumerism.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Do you own a thing or do you own a memory? So a perfect example, I'm just checking to make sure I don't have a little tiki there. So this bookcase right here, that was made by one of my students. That bookcase's name is Malloy. It's a memory. It's not a thing. This is a thing I bought at IKEA. It's handy. It has shelves. If it was ever damaged, I could care less. But if I lose this, I'll be some pissed.
But that's so important,
Right?
because you named it. You literally named something and there's an affection there.
Well, that's her name because she created it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And I mean, I could go through a ton of stuff that I have, and I either have, it's the person that's why I still have it. Yeah. But there are other things, they're just things. I know the name of what they are, but that doesn't make it important.
Yeah.
It's if someone created it or someone gave it to me, or the time period, and it reminds me of other people, and that's that emotional memory part. But there are other items, it's like, yeah, I bought it to put things on. So if it disappears, yeah, I know it's called a baker's rack, but I don't care about the baker's rack.
Yeah.
Right? If it disappeared, it would be unfortunate, because then I'd have to get another one to put the stuff on, but it doesn't have the same meaning as Malloy.
Yeah. Yeah. Because memories are bonding. Memories are love. Memories could be a monster. Memories could be so many things.
Exactly.
Yeah. Love that. I love that, because actually I'll share one story. My daughter's cousin on our dad's side moved to another state, And so they have an old van that they ended up gifting to us, which is great because we needed it, because my daughter's going to college now. So it was like the stars aligned because we needed the help.
Nice.
But they named the car Jerry because Jerry is geriatric. It's an old car. But it's a lovely car. It gets me from point A to point B, but I still carry that name with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, we named it Jerry. Okay, Jerry it is.
Perfect.
So there's a great affection there. But again, it's not just about the car, it's about who it's from,
Yeah.
So love that. Was there anything else that you wanted to discuss?
Only if you can explain, like, what is this other society? I mean, that's what really got at the end. Like, so after all this of living in the floor for eons, months, I'm guessing, I mean, this doesn't go over a long period of time, but then he walks out. She claims she's going through the floorboards, but she hasn't really disappeared. Like, what the flip is that?
Yeah.
So is she just going to live in this cubby and starve to death?
Yeah. Yeah.
And where's he going? Because there's no way to get off the damn island. All these people are laying around like they got no clue they got a body.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the answer is I don't know. I don't know how to explain it other than she's now gone beyond being a part of humanity, right? And then become a thing. Because that's what they've been doing. They've been just stripping away their humanity.
Well, they have, but they're all going to die because they don't seem to know they got bodies to feed.
Yeah.
Mind you, that's got to be one messy town because they don't seem to know they got anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she describes herself as floating in there. No, the last chapter really messed me up. I'm like, what? What now? I thought the dog was going to make it. And there's the other thing. How does the dog not know?
And the dog has a name, right?
Dawn. Oh, yeah. See?
So it's a few things actually have a name. And I found that interesting.
Yeah.
That none of the people have names, right? Like
only that one family, and it's their last name.
Yes. And so there's something about giving us as a reader a chance to connect to something. And then because we know that this family disappears, how do we feel about that versus everyone else that doesn't have a name? We can't name them.
Yeah, because. But why does the dog think its back leg's gone?
Yeah.
It wasn't having spice.
Yeah. We don't know that. We don't know what the dog's eating too.
Maybe it got into the tea. but that, like, yeah, that last part, I was like, are you all going to just literally lay down and die? And is this about just what happens when you give others control over your thoughts and your actions? And is that what this is about, is giving up your control and giving up your free will?
No. Yeah.
So that's it. That was my big question, is what?
By the end, yeah. I definitely felt that way, but it was only until like I literally needed all this time to just reflect on it.
Yeah.
And I wish I had more time to read it again because I'd probably pick up on more things. But it was definitely at the end. I was like, huh? Because there's so many things we don't know.
And I was the same. That's why I said to you, like, what did I just read, Leslie? I don't understand. I need to go back to my vampires and UFOs. I get them.
Oh my gosh.
I
All
don't
right.
understand this deep thinking reading. It's too much.
Oh my goodness. All right. So that'll lead me to my 3 questions, which I ask whether I'm doing a review or a live chat. Why does this character have Daniel Malloy have this book on their shelf?
Okay, I'm going to base it on the Daniel I know
Mhm.
from the books.
Perfect. That's fine.
I mean, he may be similar in the show, but I can't go there because I haven't watched all of them. But
Yeah.
so the Daniel that I know from the books and his story, I would think he'd have it on his shelf because he likes to think deeply about things. He's curious, he's interested in humans and vampires. So I think he would have it on his shelf as what is the importance of emotions and how do you hang on to your humanity in a challenge?
Mm, I love the
Right?
answer.
He's the one who interviewed Louis.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he'd be
Right.
curious about what part do emotions play with humans and what happens when those start getting stripped away from you. He'd love this book.
Yeah. Spot on, beautiful answer.
Thank you.
I love it. Critical thinker. Daniel Malloy wants to
Uh,
disappear into the romanticism of the vampire world.
yeah.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. Yeah, in Queen of the Damned, it's it's like a line. I know I told you before, but it like really sticks out to me. I think like at the beginning of the Devil's Minion chapter in Queen of the Damned, he's not in a good state, and he
Mm,
says, "I miss Louis's violent world." That's something that he desires that,
yeah.
which is wild. Yeah, but yeah, he definitely has like an inquisitive mind as a journalist, and because he's involved with Armand, I think there's like a processing for him that he's gonna find in this maybe. My second question is, did this book contextualize or like recontextualize the character of Daniel for you? Did it add another layer?
Um, I don't really think so. I mean, he's a complex character. And again, I can just go by Queen of the Damned and
Mhm.
his interview Queen and his relationship with Armand. Um, I mean, I think part with him is he doesn't know his own emotions and what he wants.
Mm.
I mean, Armin just kind of plays with him like a cat with a mouse, right? And
Mhm.
he keeps falling into it, but he doesn't use his own free will and his own choice. And as much as he's, oh, no, I don't want to, I mean, he falls for it every time.
Yeah.
Right? And I guess that goes back to the part that you read with the old man is
Mhm.
Daniel almost sees his relationship with Armand as fate. There's nothing he can do
Mm.
about it. It's going to eventually happen. He'll just drink himself silly until, Armand decides to do what Armand decides. Like he
Yeah.
plays, oh, I'm so helpless. But he isn't. But he's like the old man. It's inevitable, so I'll just, wait till Armin takes the lead and tells me how I'm going to live my life because I don't seem to have the intelligence to do that by myself.
Mm. That's I, I love that take. Um, I also think that when in reading this, if he picks up this book and he reads it and he has it on his shelf, going in, I'm trying to like really disconnect with what you're saying, which is there's like a level of manipulation, right? That's going on in
Mm.
this book, and there's a level of manipulation that you're saying is going on in Queen of the Damned.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
that chapter we get, and I almost feel like him reading this book will help to potentially reignite something in him in realizing what the dynamic is with him and Armand that maybe he's not really willing to see.
And I mean, again, and that may be because Daniel almost seems disillusioned with humanity. Can't say as I blame him, but
No,
like
you're not judging. We listen to don't judge.
But he looks at the human world as boring, as not that exciting. And like Critical Thinker said, he sees the romantic side of the vampire world. He doesn't see the down, dirty, manipulative, Lestat, Armand, live in the dirt, get gross side of the vampires, right? He's just seeing the suits and the fancy dinners, but he's not looking at the whole picture of what it means to be a vampire and centuries of memories. I think if he read this, you would almost hope that when he got to the part of the old man talking about fate, that there would be like a ding. Wait a minute. Is this how I've been living my life, that I have no choice, that Armand has full control? So you'd kind of hope that Daniel would pick this up and maybe start to realize the importance of those memories and those emotions, and potentially have discussions with Armand, who's got a whole lot of memories, and have a discussion about the importance of those memories and the emotions, because Armand certainly remembers being taken captive. He remembers being rescued by Marius, then Marius leaving him. Well, he thought Marius was dead. Then he finds out Marius was alive, but never came to get him.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a whole lot of emotional stuff. And talking to Armand would be, how do you get up day to day to be an immortal with all that baggage? You know, or is it better to just be a lump and you don't have to worry about remembering things because it's all been cleaned out of your brain by somebody else?
Yeah. Yeah. That's dark, but somehow it tickled me. Critical thinker. Daniel's arrogance prevents him from turning the lens inward.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a great point. And I also feel like you could, as I'm reading this, you could easily say that about also Lestat.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. Lestat, if any negative emotion, like a wind could blow, if he feels that negative emotion, it's like, nope, let me do something else. Let me be reactionary.
Well, and he tries, but time and time again, he finds out that doesn't work. Whether it's with his mother or Louis or Claudia, Armand, anyone he interacts with.
Yeah.
Nicholas.
Yeah.
He tries and he tries to avoid that self-responsibility or feeling pain or feeling less than. But then, other than David, and that's why I love David, he was like my favorite character throughout the series. David always holds him accountable. David doesn't let him wiggle or wriggle out of anything. And so it's amazing how Lestat let him get close, because Lestat doesn't like turning that lens inward either. But David doesn't pull any punches. And then when he turns David's like, how dare you? And he's like, well, you know, I I couldn't live without you.
Yeah.
It's like, dude.
He's like, you made it very clear what you don't want, but that doesn't align with what I want.
That's right. It's not meshing, so you're an immortal now. Ha! How do you like me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Last question. What book would you recommend to Daniel?
You know, ever since I saw your Voxer message, I've been thinking about that,
Mm-hmm.
and I cannot for the life of me think of a title. I can think of a subject area, and it would be about healthy relationships. But in terms of a specific book, I'm
That's okay.
stumped.
Do
But
I'll mention one. If you still can't think of one, that's
yeah,
fine.
go ahead.
But then I'll I have so many books they fell over. All right. So I haven't read this yet, but I'm still gonna recommend it because it sounds so interesting. It's one of those impulse buys. Everything I learned in a Chinese restaurant, a memoir by Curtis Chin.
Oh.
And on the back it says Detroit in the 1980s was a volatile place, but above the fray stood a safe haven, Chung's Cantonese cuisine, where anyone from the city's first black mayor to the local drag queens, from a big time Hollywood star to elderly Jewish couples, could sit down for a delicious meal. Here, beneath a bright red awning and surrounded by his multi generational family, is where Curtis Chin came of age, where he learned to embrace his identity as a gay American born Chinese, where he navigated the city's spiraling misfortunes, and where, between helpings of almond boneless chicken and sweet and sour pork, he realized just how much he had to offer the world, to his beloved family, and to himself. And so I just like that in terms of the book that we read and
Yeah.
Daniel and memories and also the overall, which I actually didn't realize till I was talking to you during this, which is just how important community is. And like everyone just kind of came to a place and it was just kind of you experience there, you grow there, there's acceptance there, and that all starts with like a community. And so I feel like maybe Daniel could pick this up and realize that wherever he's at in his life, immortal or not, there's always like tomorrow's a fresh new day and you can create new memories and there's always time for more connections and community. That's all I can think of.
Yeah. I think that would be perfect. Trying to, oh my, what would I have him read? Actually, I have it right here. Going on community, which is what we talked about. I'd have him read The Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield. This is based, and it ties in with, well, it's based on a pretend document. It's a parable, and I love parables. That's why I like Paulo Coelho, because they're not factual stories, they're stories with the lessons, and that's how I learn best. And the Celestine Prophecy, there are 9 insights, and these were all written on a Mayan manuscript. And each insight gives you different information. So we start off with critical mass, which is getting a group of 7 people together, and then you keep going and going until, everyone's on board. And it talks about synchronicity, so events that fall into place with meaning, like your car. Synchronicity. There, someone was moving just when you needed a vehicle. Other people call it coincidence. And the narrator in this book, who never has a name, but the narrator in this book starts off with they've just left a job. And this is why I loved it. I read it decades ago, and this was the book that changed my whole outlook on life, the cosmos, and events. So this individual leaves his job as a caseworker with youth. And I was actually working in social services at the time, burning out big time. And the character here has to make a decision. He had a nice beach house to go hang out at, me not so much. But while he's at his beach house, someone he hasn't heard from in ages shows up. They have a visit, and she tells him about this manuscript, and then he takes off to Peru to find it. And each piece along the way is more information about the importance of community, the connection of humanity. There's an insight about not talking down to children, have them as part of the conversation and honor them as little people with opinions. Don't minimize what they can contribute. And it talks about being mindful of your own energy and what you're putting out to the rest of the world and other people. So, in other words, don't infringe into other people's personal space. If you're going to be positive, then generate positivity. Don't talk being positive while you're spewing out negative vibrations. So it's really about self-reflection, the choices that we make, being mindful of events in your life and elsewhere. And it's about choice. And most of all, it's about gathering and the collective and the strength of unity.
Mm. Mm.
I love it.
Yeah. I gotta read that.
And there's a workbook that goes with it that I need to do again. But I read this decades ago, like I say, when I was big time burning out, and I'd left social services and then ended up in education about a month later. But yeah, it's a book I've read, I've reread. The irony is I never planned to read the rest of the series. I was like, okay, these 9 insights, I got it. The rest of your books are just going to be rewording it. And they kind of do. But I've also got the 10th insight, which just ties in more with this story. And this one takes place between the US and Peru. 10th insight takes place in the United States. And it's again about the collective getting together and big corp trying to damage public lands. Then the 11th insight is Shambhala. So that takes place in the US and China. And there's a few more. That one's about a Chinese document. And of course, it's always, in all of these stories, it's about government trying to hide the truth. And so in this book, the government doesn't want anyone to find the 9 pieces, and they'll do anything, including kill people, to make sure the 9 pieces don't come together again. In Shambhala, we've got Chinese, United States, trying to find the documents. That one also really reinforces about if you're coming from a fear-based place, then you can't keep your energy at maximum. And when you allow anger and fear to mess with your energy, then that's when things go awry. And so in the first book, when he allows himself to be angry, he gets caught by the police in Peru. In Shambhala, it's another character who lets his fear and hatred of these people, he ends up getting caught by them. And so there's just they're not called insights in Shambhala, they're a different term. And then in 12, That has to do with, I think, Egypt. Could be wrong, but there's a few more points, but it's all about personal responsibility, keeping yourself grounded and your energy high, and not letting other people knock you off your balance, right? It's
Mm,
always being mindful of, am I coming from a place of fear, from a place of anger? Um, but being mindful. And I think the more and more as things progress, the more I'm tempted to just call people people or humans,
mhm,
because color, where you come from, your language, none of that matters. We're all humans. That's it. You know, to self-segregate or segregate makes no sense. You can pretend you're not part of the collective, but it doesn't change the fact that you're still on the same frickin' planet, susceptible to all the stuff going on.
mm, mm,
We're humans, right? So some of these groups who are turning into what they're claiming happened, or not, no, let me correct that. It isn't they're claiming what happened to them. There were horrific, horrendous things throughout history done by people of every color. Every color. It's not just one group. Humans are violent, nasty creatures,
mhm,
some worse than others. But it doesn't change the fact that we're all human. There is opportunity and potential to unite and work together to make this a better place for everybody. But there are those with money currently in power who don't want that and will do anything to make sure that unification doesn't happen.
mhm, mhm,
And unfortunately, some who are motivated by that fear and that hatred and all that other stuff, they're happy to get on board with the rich folk
mm,
because they don't see that uniting with the others is much better than trying to get in a small group and fight against everybody. Because again, it's like the banned books, right? You
yeah,
can't say your rights matter if you want to infringe on other people's rights. You can't
yeah,
say rights matter when you start doing what happened in your history, but now you're doing it to other people. So that makes it okay. Perfect example of that. Years ago, there was a YouTube video by a young man, and he had taken a bunch of different TikToks and put it together, going, this isn't right. And it was all people slamming white people. And this, let me see, which one? Oh, it was just, oh, there were so many different things in this video. And it was fascinating to watch other people reacting to this video and their responses, going, don't be telling me how I'm supposed to feel. Like they were against the comments that some of these individuals were making. There was one, which one is it? Well, the one, and I just shook my head because she obviously wasn't paying attention much in school. Her point against white people was that they've started every conflict on the planet ever. I'm like, um, you think? Do, do you know about places like, oh, I don't know, Asia, Africa? I don't know, think of a few other places, North, South America. But no, apparently it's just all white people who start everything from whenever. I'm like, wow. And oh, that's the one I was thinking of. And I'm not sure. And I don't know what country these people were from. Like he didn't say, just it was different TikTok videos. So this one young woman is saying, and I'm like, do you not hear yourself? But anyhow, her big deal was, don't ask your white friend to join us unless you've got permission from the whole group, because maybe we don't want to put up with their shit when we're out having a social time. I'm like, you don't hear the racism in that? How can you not hear what's coming out of your mouth and understand how racist that is? Like, it doesn't, you can change the color of the individual all you want, but point blank, you're saying, don't bring this person unless you have our permission. Honey, I was born in the early 60s. I saw a bunch of things that happened. And the fact that you can't hear what's coming out of your mouth in 2023, 2024, the fact that you can't hear what you're saying, and the scarier thing is, I'm willing to bet they got a crap ton of followers that left them all kinds of kudo comments on their TikTok. I'm like, turning this around is not going to make it better. That's not reconciliation or building bridges and stop trying to rewrite history. The shit happened. Let's not gloss it up or anything. It happened. Let's learn from it and move forward so that we don't, well, I was going to say so we don't end up repeating history, but
it's already happening.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, they can call those buildings all they want. They're concentration camps. I mean, you got Alligator Alley and this other stuff. Stop mincing words and pretending that that people don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, it is, and that's why it's important to keep talking, but it's also important to recognize what's going to help and what isn't. And throwing slams at different groups is not going to help.
Yeah, because that's another example of doing the work for the people in power, because they want division.
Of course they do.
Like divide, because they don't want us to connect.
And that's it. And that's why I say, so individuals like some of these TikTokers, and there was one, and it doesn't matter. They were of different colors with different reasons. But the one person, and I was just like, oh, I mean, I've said and done some stupid things in my life, but thank crikey I don't put it up on a YouTube video or TikTok and it's there. But this individual was talking about things that had happened to their particular group. And they were saying, someone was trying to have a conversation with them to try and understand. And they said, well, what can I do to make it better? How can I help improve things? And this individual's response was, well, your type could stop having children. And you wonder why some people say, well, just never mind. You can think of what they say. But I'm like, can you not hear yourself?
No. It's just like trauma. It's just like trauma responses reinforcing more trauma. It's
yeah. And I was just like, and this stuff is out on TikTok.
Yeah.
And there's probably more since then. I mean, like I say, the stuff currently happening, it boggles my mind, one, that it's happening, and two, that the government's been shut for a month. How is it people over there haven't figured out the House and the Senate and the president are all Republican, but they're saying it's the Democrats' fault? I'm not even over there, and I know how your government works.
Yeah, your neighbor's house is on fire, and you can see everything, and you're like, all right.
I'm just like, how have people not figured this out?
I don't know. But with that said, Elaine, do you have anything coming up on your channel?
Well, I actually have a live stream on Thursday with Margaret, and we will be chit-chatting. Oh, I don't have the thing up yet, but we'll be chit-chatting about the hidden cost of publishing a book. So things like putting together an index, autobiography, and just chatting books and that's at 3 p.m. Eastern. On Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, I will be joined by Dave and Olive from Book Blather, and we're going to be talking UFOs and some of the serious books that Dave's been reading about critical thinking and fascism and that kind of stuff. So, yeah,
That's lovely.
that's it.
I always forget how to do this. How do I? There it goes. There we are. Sorry. I was like, how do I get us back?
Yeah, that's okay. I love your background. You've got like so fancy things you do. I just have like the plain stuff.
I just put the pin photo or whatever, and I put it on the back.
Nice.
I will share that on the 15th, I will be having Kwana from Her Real Reviews and Her Reviews Reads discussing Eric Bogosian, the actor who plays Daniel on the show.
Ah,
He's Armenian American, and so he went down a little bit of a rabbit hole. This is like years ago, and wanted to just learn more about his cultural history. And he stumbled upon learning that there were a group of uh, civilians that attempted to and did for several people avenge the Armenian genocide. And
mm,
the conversation that he's having in the book, from what I've learned so far, is that it's not really, he's not painting any of this as like oh, how do I say this? In a way where he's saying what the people did was like heroic or something. It's just a part of history
yeah,
that happened. So he's just wanting to discuss the messiness of what occurred, or the messiness of avenging something.
yeah.
What does that say? And so it's definitely going to be a deep, hard read. I'm going to start reading it probably tomorrow, and we're going to
Mm,
be discussing that book. So it's going to be continue the context of Daniel Malloy, but then also learning about this troubling time in history that I know
yeah.
little about. I know it occurred, but that's about it. So it's going to be definitely a deep dive, and I
Well,
look forward to that.
the public school, one of the public schools I worked at, we had a lot of refugees
Mm,
with the neighborhood that I was in. And we had people from Bosnia, Serbia, Kosovo, Armenia.
mm,
And learning about things that happened to them as children. Many of them came from the refugee camps. So those stories were pretty brutal. And yeah, that particular school we used to call the United Nations, because one of our ESL teachers, bless her heart, did this thing of figuring out how many countries were represented in our building by students and staff. And I think in our school we had maybe 600 students, so kindergarten to grade 8, we had over 55 different cultures just in that building. And in that building, we didn't have issues between who came from what country because they were all
mhm,
over here, right? Um, but I will never forget the one day we were out on a school trip to one of our local parks, and it was for science class. So they were out doing, conservation studies and things. It was really cool. Unfortunately, it was also when our air show was on in the early spring.
mm,
And so there we were, out in this lovely area and groups doing their little things. And the air show was coming up that weekend. And of course, the big fighter jets and things are coming in. And all the other kids are like oohing and awing because one happened to be coming while we were there. And one little boy was crouched by a tree like this, just terrified, shaking, because it hadn't occurred to any of us that he'd actually seen. I mean, they all had, but his memories were very different. And so as soon as he heard that plane, he was terrified,
Yeah.
absolutely terrified. And so we had to, no, it's just an air show. There's nothing to worry about. And I mean, for me, that was a lesson of, because it hadn't occurred to anybody. We were that close to the airport, the air show. I mean, these kids, some of them had been in the country for 5, 6 years, but it doesn't mean there aren't going to be reactions or situations that you just can't foresee, right? You have to be mindful, and you have to be kind, and you have to care about your fellow human beings. So, yeah, that, and so now because when you were reading that in the video I saw the other day, I'm like, that guy looks really familiar. And then I'm like, is it the guy from, so you just answered that, yeah, it's the actor that, but I do think it's important to talk and read. I mean, that's why I love the Paranormal Ranger. It isn't so much that it was about the paranormal that he studied, and he and his partner went out and talked to people. He actually he was a Navajo ranger, and he talked about the landscape and some of the history, and he shared a bit about Navajo, a bit about Cherokee, because he has both in his background, and his parents divorced, so he was in both cultures, learning about them. And it was a fascinating read, well beyond the paranormal aspect. I mean, it's not a huge history book, or it's nonfiction, but not specific to what was happening in that area. But it was a fascinating read to learn about his job and how important it was for him to let people know he would take whatever they were reporting seriously and look into it, whether it was like a UFO or a creature, whatever, didn't matter to him. He was about be respectful and let these people know they're being heard, which I thought was crucial, because, I think there's so much more to this world than we know, and the scientists don't know everything. But just honoring and being respectful for individuals to, whatever that it is they want or need to share with you was, yeah, I love that book. I can't wait to get through it again and read it. It was fascinating. There's a lot of good reads out there.
Endlessly. Thank you so much, Elaine. Thank you, Critical Thinker, for going along this journey with us. I really appreciate you and all your comments. You give me a lot to think about, Elaine. It's always a joy. I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. Thank you so much. Remember, life is chaos. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and read more books. Bye.
Bye. Thank